All right, welcome back to Judging Bouncing Balls. We are doing the second week trying for a live stream here. Toby, how the heck do you think this is going to work?
We're good. It's got to work better. It can't go backwards. I mean, first run last week, and then we tried it online on my phone, and then I forgot to hang up the phone. Oh, that was embarrassing.
Well, I forgot too. And to be fair, I'm looking at Facebook Live right now, and I'm looking at YouTube. Both are working.
I was going to say YouTube is live.
Uh-oh.
That's great.
I think as they would say, the just got real.
Yeah, right? That's exactly right. This is going to be amazing. We're going to talk trash to people, and they can answer back.
It's going to be amazing. Whoa. Yeah, but the good news is we're starting later, so they're all asleep.
Yeah, right? We cater to a lot of older people.
Yeah, this is true. So, Joe, how's your week been? Yeah, Joe.
It's been a week. First off, I want to start by giving everybody the pickleball update. We had
yes.
When I joined the league, I'm a big banquet guy. Like, whatever I do, I love banquets. You know, when you were in 6th grade basketball, you had a banquet. And so I talked big about a banquet, and last night was the pickleball banquet. So, of course, Macy had a game, which they beat Sheboygan South 5-0.
Nice.
Sheboygan South struggled. I think our JV team won 19-0. They didn't call the game. They called it with 20 minutes to go in the game. It was 9-0 at halftime, and the wheels, it was bad. Like, I think the JV team in Sheboygan South, I don't think soccer is their forte. So it's kind of represent then your varsity, right? I mean, you kind of tell. But they had one girl up top. But so I went to the game, and then I raced over to pickleball banquet, and I was in charge of emceeing the awards.
So, MC, nice.
Yeah. They laid them out, and they had different names on them, pickleball terms, stay out of the kitchen type of deal, and I got to figure out. There were 8 guys. There were 9 awards. I did not take an award. There was some chatter about me getting the sportsmanship award, which I truly deserved.
Ooh,
but
wow.
As the MC, you just can't be like, the winner's me.
It's harder.
So I did pick the grumpiest guy, Jesse, great guy, but we had a lot of fun. It was a success.
Okay. That sounds like a good time. Man, you should live stream these things, especially if you're the MC. Do you do a little roast action there as well, or is this just strictly, all business?
It was 100% roast. I had a lot of fun with people, and people enjoyed it. There's some chatter that they would like us to go live for a pickleball game next winter. So my idea is this, we are going to take one of our pickleball nights and sanction the event. So we're going to have a tournament of the Roses. Seymour, Wisconsin, open class, everybody can play, which is a lie. Just our teams will play. But it's kind of like dodgeball, right? The winner will then advance to the national tournament in Vegas.
Okay.
And so then we'd all go and celebrate the winner. So we're trying to figure out the crux of that, how to beat the system per se.
I like this. I think this is good.
So, and I thought by going live, and I did inform them with the amount of followers we do have that we can go live, and they're like, "How many followers?" Like expecting like 10,000, and I'm like, 58, and they're like.
It's a work in progress. It's a WIP here. Let's go.
I said once we hit 100, we're going to hit 200 in a hurry. So, but that got late. That was like 11 o'clock at night. I got home. That was late. But Saturday was my first taste of prom from a girl's side. We lived it. We rented a tux for $80. We bought a flower, maybe bought dinner at Chi-Chi's for $30. Those days are long gone. From the female side, there was a dress, Then that dress needed to be hemmed. And then my daughter had hair on Wednesday. But that wasn't prom hair. That was hair. And then Friday, nails. Thursday, eyebrows. Saturday, hair and makeup.
Wow.
Oh, like this is an adventure.
It's a production, is what that is.
Yeah, so it's like we could either do a weekend in Indianapolis for soccer or send my daughter to prom. And then we hosted. I'm a big fan of hosting. I feel I kind of control the narrative, even though I fell asleep. I mean, so we had probably 10 kids in my basement, 8 kids. But they're not like we were, right? We just snuck beer in the window and, well, me. And they were very, right? They were very good. They watched a movie, and they were tired. My daughter's like, how was the dance, right? We're into this for X amount of dollars. And she's like, wasn't that great. And I'm like, okay. How long did you stay at the dance? She's like, about 2 hours. So I figured out the hourly rate for a dance and what the total cost is, and it made me throw up in my mouth.
I don't think you want to share that.
No. Nope. But she had a smile on her face. I did offer for senior ball. I said, how about you get 6 friends? I will buy dinner, and you guys can come back here. Skip all the fanfare. Skip the dress. Skip the nightmare. And just enjoy the night.
Okay. That works.
So, well, for me and you, that works. But for them...
Are they going to do that?
No way. It'll be a bigger dress. It'll be fancier. Oh.
It's going to be even a bigger production next year.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you have something to look forward to?
Oh, shoot. You know what I just realized? We have the ability to go live on Facebook, but I never shared it. So now we're officially live on Facebook. Sorry about that, fans.
Okay.
But no,
we can't
I'll
be
tell you
100%.
what. Yeah, but we're there, and they can still join us. So, now we are officially live. But here's the deal. I didn't have anybody that went to prom. My son decided not to go. I encouraged him to. I don't know. He still is not really into this asking girls out or doing and I'm like, whatever. You live your life the way you want to live it. I'm not going to push you into anything. But he didn't go. Amelia is a freshman, so the way it works at our school, because she's a freshman, we're only at 10 through 12. So unless she gets asked by an upperclassman, which I don't know how to felt about that, she would not have been able to go. So it is what it is, right? So that did not happen in our household. So I didn't get to have the same experiences. There were some things that happened that I'm not at liberty to share in the school-wise that I thought were pretty interesting, but nothing crazy, but just funny stories. But again, for privacy reasons, I won't share. But I didn't get to have the same fun that you did. No hairdos. Man, I tell you, I could use a hair salon. That'd be beautiful. I think we should do that.
We're looking for a spot. I got my haircut today, and this
it's
bad boy
good.
Used to be like, high and tight, right? Used to be $18. Now it's like $30, wow. And I'm like, whoa!
Inflation's
paying
real.
Off somebody's college tuition. They used to be dancers. Now they're hair people.
Smart move.
Let me ask you a question. So if Amelia does come home and she's like, hey, Jimmy, class of 93, is like, wants to take me to senior bowl, like, can I go?
Well, if it's class of 93,
yeah.
we got
no. Yeah, right. 24. No, 23, okay. Right? We're in 23. So let's say a senior's like, hey, can Amelia go to senior ball with me? I don't know if I'm buying into that. I might be like,
that'd be tough. I don't know. It hasn't happened, so I don't know. It would depend on the person probably. But I know a lot of those seniors because my classes are juniors and seniors that I teach. So I think I could probably have some good time with that kid and give him a hard time. So that might be kind of fun, actually.
It'd be a rough class for the kid. Yes. Yes, that would be amazing.
And I'll tell you this. If they take Amelia, bless their hearts, I love my daughter, but she can be kind of cantankerous at times. So they don't know what they're getting into.
Right, all of a sudden they're like, why are they back? It's like 10. And you just see the door open and your daughter get out and like stand there with her hands up and the dude speeds away. When you're
I'm done with
chasing
this.
them down the street, you're like, oh no, you said till midnight.
You have to. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's. I don't think she was really interested. You know what? Honestly, she's been asked to 2 dances, I think, and she said no to both. She turned them
Really?
down. Oh yeah. So she's a hard one to convince, I think.
That is fantastic.
She still went to the dances. She just didn't go with.
Did she see the young man at the dance?
Probably. She just went with her friends. So
You
I'm
know
like,
what?
yeah, whatever.
But I will say, because I was talking to my wife about this, because everybody posts pictures of prom, and I would say more people went with friends than with boyfriends and girlfriends.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I mean, but based on the
Yeah.
ones that I saw.
Because right away in my head, I'm like, okay, hold on. So you're buying a dress, you're doing the hair, because you got to do everything. And I get
Yeah.
it. I mean, this isn't me bashing, but I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend either way.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, but oh well. You know what? They had a good time, and everybody was safe. And then we went shopping on Sunday with Macy, and then I expected to come home at 2:00 to an empty house, and they were all still here. So I had to politely say, "Get out."
It's time for me to go.
Right. Hey, folks,
You had to get to bed.
you don't have to go home, but we're going to start doing lawn chores outside. They sped
That is
away.
one of my favorite quotes from ESPN, and that was back when ESPN was awesome. You don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here. It's a great line.
When I was a bouncer in college, I would 2:30 or whatever. I'd be like, "You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here." Every time.
It's a good one. Maybe we should make that the
Right?
title tonight.
Hey, we are still live. We have 2 people. I just saw Greg tuned in. Probably wanted to hear if we talk about
We should make that
the team, his team.
title
Oh,
tonight.
jeez.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, let's talk about Kimberly because, man, they're still on a roll. Number 1 ranked team in the state, the girls' soccer team, doing really well. Much to our chagrin, right? No, I mean, honestly, that we know so many of those girls were pulling for them in some regards as well, as much as we're competitors with them. But, man, they're playing really well. They just, they win their 9th in a row as well. So they're
Last night.
crushing it.
Yeah, we went
doing
to
really well.
Because Bayport was off last Thursday night. Kimberly played De Pere. Kimberly being the number 1 team in the state, and De Pere was a top 5 at the beginning of the season, and the game had everything. It was good to see the girls from our club or our team. Emily played the whole game. Skylar came
Nice.
in 10 minutes into the game, and I was told she hadn't seen the field a ton. She played 70 minutes, and she played outside back, and she played great.
Of course, yeah.
Yep, and then Katie saw the field, but they had her at forward, and I think and we sat with her mom, and she's like, "You don't know what she's doing," and I'm like, "She's giving her hell, right?" And then she played.
I'm sure she was very productive.
Yes, and then she played the 6 or whatever that is, the center mid-level defense. I got no idea.
Just say 6.
Right, just 6.
Everybody
right? She played the
knows.
6, right? Probably touched the 8 a little bit, which is her normal position. So they had, I would say, for a good portion of the game, Kimberly had 4 freshmen on the field
Wow.
against a top team. Now their forwards are all D1 recruits. There's a girl up top named Senna Haynes who's going to go to UWGB, and she plays with her back to the goal better than I've seen anybody in a long time. She can drag the ball.
Wow.
She's a strong force, and she gets her shoulder past you, and you're done. And she scored.
Really?
So they won 1-0. But they controlled the tempo most of the game. So it was fun to watch. We actually were not supposed to play Kimberly in this invitational this weekend, but I guess they switched it up. And I know why they're doing it. They're playing teams that they're going to see in regionals, is what I'm guessing.
Okay.
So we have Kimberly Friday night at 7:30.
Oof.
So it'll be a good test for Bayport. Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to figure out where you're at,
Yep. Got to play the best.
right? and you play as a team. You catch lightning in the bottle. Next thing you know, you win. So
Yeah.
I'm not guaranteeing nothing. Not saying nothing about that. I'm just saying we're hoping to stay in the game, play hard.
Which, okay, so we got to address the elephant in the room. You and I were talking about this pre-production. We're supposed to be at a lacrosse game
Right.
between Pacelli/Spash and Bayport. Your game actually is right during that game, so we knew this might happen. I don't think we're going to be able to get to that lacrosse game as much as we would like to. Fatherly duties are going to call, and I don't think it's going to end up happening. No disrespect to the lacrosse people. We would love to be there, but I think they can understand why something like this might happen. We'll just have to try to figure out a way down the road to be there for another game. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to be there, barring some change in a schedule here. Would that be a fair statement?
100%. And I will say,
Yeah.
based on the early podcast with Max and with Jason, I've done the Bayport fundraiser. I bought all that. I've been to a couple games. My daughter now plays, so I feel I've really given it my all. And I feel bad because I think we talked about it, but like you said, I got to be honest. My kid's sport comes first, so I gotta go there.
I think that's fair. I think parents would understand that as well. So, apologies to the lacrosse people. We'll see what can be done, but if there is something we can be done, but I don't think the duo is going to be there for sure.
Yeah,
So.
but they do go to an after get together, and if I can make that, I would.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. We'll see what we can pull off this week. More to come on that. Follow the page to see if there's anything we can work out. But yeah, we definitely wish them the best. Go Pacelli/Spash, and I know you're rooting for Bayport as well. So.
yeah, we've kind of taken some L's on the lacrosse side, so they could use a win. So I don't know how good Pacelli/Spash is, and I don't know.
I think we're competitive. I know we've had a few successes early, and then I think we've had some setbacks as well. But I think it's probably going to be a pretty decent match from what I've gathered. So should be a fun one.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's going to be a great game though. Kimberly Bayport, that'd be a really fun one to watch. Love to see that one. We'll see what we can do for the fans out there, because there's a lot of Wisconsin United players on those respective teams. I think would that be 5 players in that game?
5, correct.
Yeah.
And I will say about that De Pere Kimberly game, everybody seemed to have off in the area, so. We ran into the Notre Dame. Charlie from Notre Dame was there.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, like there was a whole bunch of the 08s, the 07s, 06s all took a team photo, and there were girls from all over the city. And that was pretty cool. All the girls sat together. The Notre Dame girls sat with the Bayport girls, sat with the Pulaski girls. So that was pretty neat. That was a lot of club effort, and the club shared it. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. I mean, it just shows you the camaraderie, throughout the community. So, it's definitely a great thing that everybody has that and gets together to hang out with each other.
Yes, and I think it's everybody against Kimberly, because they got the target right. They're the ones at the top of the heap, and so you got to try to knock them down a little bit.
I think everybody knows when you're the best right now, which they're viewed as the best in the state. You're, like you said, they've got a target, and people want to beat them, right? I mean, so they should take that as a badge of honor. It's no disrespect at all. It's just a nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know, next week we have Manitowoc and Pulaski, and Pulaski's running some hard times. Injuries. I think 4 starters are down, and that's hard. It's a short season, so you gotta play through it. But if you lose starters, it makes for a long season.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, for sure. Yeah, we had a game last night as well. We played Merrill. Merrill is, I give Merrill a lot of credit because they go out there and they fight every time, but they're having a down year, so that was. We won 6-0, but they're struggling a little bit. But I give them a lot of credit because they play really hard, even though they have a little bit smaller team. They don't even have a JV, and they're still trying, right? So you give them credit for that, but it just didn't pan out the way. It wasn't the best game, unfortunately. But I think they have some potential down the road. They just didn't have a great game last night, so hopefully they can get things turned around up in Merrill. Really nice stadium, nice school. They got a lot of really, really good facilities. Just hasn't gone their way recently for athletics. So, but we're slowly, hopefully, building a little bit. We have Wausau East tomorrow night, and we'll see how we play against them as well. So, yeah,
that was a very kind way to explain Merrill.
Hey, I mean, it's got to be a little tough, honestly. I'm always amazed that they're in a bigger conference. They seem like they would be in with smaller schools, and I give them a lot of credit for banging around with schools that are 1,600 to 2,000 kids.
Right.
They're not a big town. It's just but they always try hard. It just doesn't always work out, unfortunately, when you're playing bigger schools. So
yeah, we actually. Going live, we got some benefit. Actually, Paul, watching from Detroit, he had a great comment, though. Early season Minnesota hockey hair. If we go back to our full camp interview and we talked about the final for the high school tournament, and the big hair, the best hair, and if you run it through hockey season, like if you don't win conference and you run that through hockey season, you could be right. You could be dialed in for hockey.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. You know what? I might have to just hold on to that. That's not a bad idea because that would be kind of fun. And I think Pole Camp could get behind that. So
I guarantee he's a Minnesota kid. He's got that drive to know the hair.
He's even got that little Minnesota accent. I can catch it once in a while when he's talking to me. You can just hear that little. I don't know how to call it a drawl, but it's
the UP draw.
It's good.
It's funny when I lived because I went to school in the UP at Northern, and I came home and we were talking one summer, and I'm like, hey, we go mall, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, go mall, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, that's my UP accent because they just forget words. Like, hey, you want to go to the mall? No, it's just go mall. And I really enjoyed it because I saved myself a lot of effort of talking. And so I just, go mall. Eh? So, yeah, you can tell Pole Camp was from that area.
To be fair, I don't know if you've ever noticed, when you get really cold, words start to kind of blend together. You can't move your lips. And there's been a couple times where I've been coaching and you're really cold and you're like words just kind of mumble together. Like Pam Oliver, remember she was on the sideline and she couldn't talk.
It's
a real thing. Your mouth starts to not work. So I think that could be part of it too. It's just you don't have the ability to say those words. It just kind of mumbles together.
Yeah, crepes. Everybody knows.
Yeah. So that's not a bad idea. I like that. I like where Paul's head's at. I think we'll maybe run with that.
It's up to you. That's all you. I got the $30 haircut today, so I'm out.
Hey, we can see how big. Maybe over the summer we get that thing. See if we can get it nice and puffy. So we'll see.
You're gonna be selling ice cream, and cops are gonna be like, "What the?" Like, we see some identification.
We know what these ice cream trucks are known for.
That's right. No windows.
I didn't make this thing that nice to do that, though. I could have bought a jalopy and tried to sell illicit things out of it.
Just you have one pail of ice cream and you're selling a scoop, and then everything else is like, oh God! It's like The Simpsons. Oh, what did Homer buy? He went in to buy something, and he's like, but it was completely back. He's like, give me the fireworks. He's like, give me the nudie mag. He's like, give me the cigarettes. And then he's like, I also need the peanuts. It was fantastic. It was completely backwards.
Yeah, that's Homer. Gotta love Homer. Yep.
Oh. But back to sports. Big Big decision made today, right? At WIAA?
Yes. Yeah, if you are not following, there was a big decision. Why don't you introduce this for the listeners?
Yeah, so in the layman's terms, that what I read was the WIAA voted upon by the members, not by Steph Hauser and the gang. We found that out if you listened to the podcast 2 weeks ago. They are going to go to a point system. So we'll take what division is Spash in?
Division 1.
Division 1. Okay, so that's not going to work. So let's take Pulaski, Division 2, and Notre Dame girls, right? They've won state 2 years in a row. They're a Division 2 basketball team. So now they get a point system. So they won. If you win state, you get 4 points. If you make runner-up, you get 2 points. If you make a certain level, you get 1 point. And once you hit 6 points in a matter of 3 years, you jump up a level. Is it 3 years?
Yes, every 3 years. Yep.
Yeah. So then now Notre Dame girls, not next year, but the year after, will be a Division 1 girls basketball program. And my personal thought is it's great in theory because you don't want, but some of the article that I read was some of the coaches are like, listen, we put the time in at the grade school level to build the program, and now you're punishing us because we're successful. And then you graduate players. So what if you have a sophomore class that's phenomenal, and they make state as sophomores, they win it as juniors, they win it as seniors, they graduate. That school now goes up a level, and your next girls might not be the talent level that needed to be. Yeah,
and I think that's a fair criticism. I mean, I think they would probably even recognize that that's the case. But I mean, let's play the devil's advocate side of this, where you have a school that potentially can bring in players. I mean, again, I'm going to say potentially, and maybe have some advantages that some of the schools that are in the same size of them don't have. There's got to be. I think they're trying to figure out a way to balance that playing field so that you have them competing against teams that maybe have more or similar type athletes. And so I understand kind of where they're coming from, but yeah, that's a tough one when you end up having to jump up a full level. And I kind of briefly talked about this prior to the start. Initially, I was pretty pro on this. I think I still kind of am, but on the flip side, it's what if you're Division 5 and then you move up to 4, and then all of a sudden, let's say you do well at 4 and you have to move to 3. It's like, where does it end up stopping? Do you end up having a team that potentially, a Stratford that's a pretty small school, that all of a sudden is like playing Division 1 because they just because they're good enough, and then all of a sudden they graduate a bunch of people, and maybe they just have, I shouldn't say graduate because obviously that would take a number of years for them to get up that many divisions. But let's say that all of a sudden their population base just gets affected, and next thing you know, you got this tiny school playing way above their heads, and things don't go so well.
Well, the question is, how fast do you move down? So you move up to D1, yeah, right? You start getting boot stomped, and then how fast do they go, all right, that didn't work, we're going to put you back down into their division?
And I know you have the ability to appeal, like to make certain cases. I think that was even brought up in one of the articles that I read was, in the event that you had like a really great class and you had like, let's say 3 years of success and you were able to really advance up and get promoted, I think you could appeal and say, hey, it's not the same anymore in the school population. Can we give you bumped back down? But I think that would also kind of create some confusion too. You'd have to be careful not to do that too quickly because, you have to kind of, there's schedule planning and all kinds of stuff that happens. But maybe this is only in the playoffs. I guess you'd still play your conference, so it's just in the playoffs you get bumped up.
But, Greg just replied on Facebook, and he had a great point. He goes, how bad – so if you take the top schools out of Division 5, the top, let's say 2 of them, because you have teams that you get points for making at the state, then you get points for making the final or whatever. how bad does that dilute a Division V tournament?
Yeah.
Because you can't move Division IV down if they're terrible. I mean, it's not soccer, right? You don't get promoted, and look at us talking soccer like we know what we're doing. So my team Wrexham got promoted this week. I was super proud. I
saw that. Boys. That's awesome.
Right? I was super excited. I celebrated. I felt like I'm part of the club. I did watch the TV show, so I kind of know what's going on. But so you don't get promoted and demoted. You just you. So that's my thing. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think our world is too soft. We're always trying to protect. But I get the benefit of it, and I get why they maybe did it. And it might just be a 5-year try it out. They can always shut it down. But if you're worried about the schools like Notre Dame girls basketball winning state title year after year, everybody goes on a run, and then they don't.
Right.
And you got to beat them. Be better. You know, we make fun of Kimberly constantly on this show, and it's a simple fact that we want to beat them. Right?
Right.
Like, well, they're easy to make fun of, but they're good at what they do.
They are. Yeah, and I think that's I think it's a fair point, and I'm just curious how, I guess we're going to have to see how it works. Maybe it'll be better than what we anticipate, but I think there's a point to be made that, like you're saying, or Greg's saying, that if that ends up taking out your best teams out of D5, well then, I guess theoretically, then you would assume that there's going to be some D6 schools moving into D5. So I guess then maybe it just makes D6 or whatever the lowest one that keeps getting teams pulled out of makes them worse. I don't know. I understand what they're going with, but I'm in agreement with you too that sometimes you just have to figure out a way to make it work. And there's obviously schools that have made it work. And I go back to Stratford and use them. I think they're Division 6. Maybe they're 5, or I should know that, but I don't, especially since we have somebody that I work with that actually used to go there. But whatever division they're at, they've been very competitive at that division, and they've actually gone up and played other higher division teams and beaten them. So they're very capable of doing competing at a higher level. And so you got to ask, okay, well, why does a team like Stratford, which I don't even know how big they are, but it's not a big town. How are they pulling it off? Like, they're obviously doing something. They're not recruiting from all around. It's a small rural community. So how are they doing it? And instead of, and I'm not saying this is what they're doing, but instead of trying to change the rules in a way to kind of level the playing field, I guess maybe try to replicate what they're doing. And I think that's a lot harder road because, like, to your point, what they talked about, what you have to do is you have to start building the youth program. And to build the youth program, that might take 5 to 10 years to actually start to see benefits of that. And that's a long game, right? And we're such a short-sighted society. We want to see things happen right away. They're like, well, why don't you just get that really good team out of here so we can not have to play them?
We can compete, right?
Right. And I think that's unfortunate. Maybe that's not what they're trying to say, but that's what it feels like, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I think, is there something, I don't know, the two rumors about recruiting are Notre Dame, Kimberly. Just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to take it back. I'm going to apologize. But they're winning. They're winning, right? I mean, I'm not saying they are. I mean, I didn't get recruited at Notre Dame. I was a Promontory kid. When I was in 8th grade, we had to go to both Catholic high schools. You went to Promontory and Pennings, and then you got to choose your own personal choice. And Pennings did throw some chocolate malts at us for free, I'm going to be honest. Very intriguing.
Wow.
But I did not choose there. I chose Promontory because it's a better school. And but that's how I got recruited, was a chocolate malt.
Wow. They know you.
Right? My first date, my wife took me out for a chocolate malt. Sold.
That's funny.
But
I'm just trying to look up the Stratford population here, just since I referenced it.
I
don't know
something about a multiplier, and the original plan was to just give the factor for enrollment, so the private school would have a 1.25 multiplier or something like that, so the private school would maybe have a deal to move up. I do think that it works out, and we've talked about this in the past, that Division II schools, Notre Dame, West Appear, are playing Bayports, and they're playing Division I for their conference, and then in the tournament they go back down. I think that's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
You might get stomped around a little bit, but you're playing at a higher level, and so you go to your tournament. But I think, what is De Pere, East De Pere? What do you know what they are? Are they Division I or II? They got to be II, right?
I think they're II, yeah.
And I think they throttle most Division I. They just had a team,
Yeah.
And now they've lost their senior and kids year. Now will they go? They're still going to be great, but will they have the success now that they lost players? So if they moved up, I think they'd be at a huge disadvantage playing your Arrowheads and your top schools.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're correct on that. I mean, at least you could see where they would be at a disadvantage. So I just found this out for Stratford, Wisconsin, 1,578 kids, right? And I mean they're fielding football teams that have 80 to 100 guys on them. So it's like, I don't know. I just, to your point, I think there's an argument to be made. It's like, figure out what to do with your school and figure out how to make your school better rather than trying to, because now you could see them potentially getting popped out of there and having to move up because they tend to be a perennial powerhouse. I think at one point they'd won like 70 games in a row or something like that.
Yeah, and that should be celebrated.
Like, yeah, and then the other thing we forgot to mention is, what about the schools in Division I? You can't move them up anymore.
Yeah, your Green Bay schools are they just don't have the kids. So all of a sudden now you move a D2 school up and they're boot stomping east, and it's like, well, that's more embarrassing. Like, they're like, holy crap.
Right.
I think they need to realign schools. And Paul and I'll be honest, this going live where people are like paying attention to what we're saying, they're really calling us out on all of our mistakes. And I'm making a lot of them. East appears a 1. West appears a 2. So, all right. Well, I appreciate that. But
it's East appear, by the way.
It is East appear. Yeah. There's an East appear and West appear. There's no like De Pere. But you got Green Bay East, you got Green Bay West. They don't win football games unless they play each other. They should be playing D3, D4 schools, and it's just the way it should be. I mean, they should be, and it should be competitive. Otherwise, kids, they're not going to play football, and they're already seeing that. The enrollment for sports at the Green Bay schools is terrible.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Success is everything when it comes to sports. Your school, look at UWGB when they were winning. Their enrollment went up. 2,800 kids. Now it's back down. When sports, people like to be winners.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's very true. Hey, speaking of that, I gotta bring this up. I think it was kind of an interesting conversation. We've had this conversation about youth sports and how do you make youth sports successful, and when you talked about being a winner, it made me think of this. I had a conversation with a student athlete this week, and he made a comment that I thought was kind of interesting, and this is totally changing gears here, so apologies about the 180 in our topic. But when you said that, he said, hey, I really like playing basketball more than football. And I said, oh, why is that? And he said, the coaches in basketball hold us to a standard of perfection, and I really like that. And I pushed him on a level. I said, so, tell me a little bit more about what you mean by that. And he said, well, they expect us to be perfect, and they push us to be perfect all the time. And he said, I really like that they do that because, it lets everybody know what the expectation is. And then also people that don't have that expectation kind of move out of the program, which, we could have a debate about whether that's a good thing, right? When you start to lose people that are just kind of there for the fun. But on the same token, you could argue that they're really pushing people to be their best, right? And kids really are drawn to that. And he said that's why some people want to play basketball and not football, is because of that mentality that you're trying to be as good as possible. He said, look, we weren't that great this year because we didn't have the talent depth that you need to be really good at basketball. He said, but if you look at how we came together by the end, because we had a bunch of really committed people, we were more competitive than what people thought we would be. And I just thought that was really interesting because I think there's a mentality sometimes in youth sports that if we push kids to be really excellent, that we're going to lose a lot of kids because that's not what they want. They're gonna get hurt, or they're not like emotionally hurt, or they're gonna have something happen where they just say, oh, I don't want to be that competitive. I don't want to be that serious about it. But I actually think that there's a number of kids that are drawn to that. They're drawn to being part of something that's better, or where they're pushed to be at a higher level. And I think we sometimes we don't give kids, at least maybe I don't, enough credit that they actually do want that. They want to be winners, right? Like you just said, you want to be a winner, and they are willing to put that work in. It's just sometimes we go about the wrong way of how we get to that of becoming a winner. And if we can instill in those kids the drive and the passion to be really perfect, I think they're along for the ride. I think it's just sometimes it becomes, if all you care about is the winning and not the person, I think that's where kids get turned off. I think there's ways where we lose sight of that perfection, and we don't, foster that really positive environment of trying to reach that. And so that's where I think kids kind of throw their hands up in the air and say they don't like it. But this idea that kids don't want to be really competitive, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of interesting. Maybe it's just his perspective, but it gave me some pause to this week, and I'm like, that's really interesting that a young person would say that's what they were drawn to. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that. When you mentioned the winner thing, it made me think of it.
But you know what that is? That exact statement is club sports. Right? You found 15 girls on our daughter's team that all want that. They want to be coached. They want to be coached hard. They hold each other accountable. They're there early. Yeah. They stay late. And you hate to say it, but that is kind of club sports versus high school. Now, I think you show me a state champion, and I'll show you that team. And I think that's the difference in high school is they come every so often, and you get a team. I've talked to the parents of the Kimberly girl. They're practicing 6 nights a week. Some weeks, yeah. They're looking to play better games. They're reaching out. I guess they asked their coach, we need to play better competition. That to me is a team that's driven and looking to go. Now, next year that'll be different, right? It always changes. So you get a group, if you get a good group of kids that want to run and they want to go, and you look at SPASH, your soccer program will get better as your freshman. You have some really good freshmen. Amelia's got 9 goals for crying out loud. And by the time she hits to be a junior, she'll be might be wearing the C on her right arm, right, as a captain, and maybe she sets the tone with some of the other girls. And now you get some sophomores and some freshmen that are willing to run, and that's how you build for that special season.
Yeah.
We're in club, that's just the season, all the
You're
season.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. Like, and he does play club sports. He plays baseball. So it's funny he mentioned basketball, but his primary sport's baseball. But I just thought it was a really interesting comment, and one you don't often hear. But I just want to remind those coaches out there that listen to this. I think kids do want to be pushed in the right ways, they really do. And I think there's more of them than we want to give credit to, because I see a lot of kids in my classroom that I get frustrated with because you push them a little bit and they kind of oh, that's too hard. And there are those kids. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of kids I think that really. They want to be challenged, and they want to be really good at something in comparison to everyone else. And I think if we can convince them that the work that they have to put in is worth it, and that it's going to be worth the grind, I really think that you could start to see some really cool things in kids that maybe you didn't realize had that drive.
You take a sport, an individual sport, you take wrestling. I mean, those coaches are insane. I've never wrestled. Yeah. But you want to talk about an insanity of a coach that is dialed into a sport, and they push, and those kids are blood, sweat, and tears, and they all love it, right? I mean, that's the drive of wrestling. You don't get the senior going for state that just ho-hum. They're all in. And I think you're right. I think I think there's a way to do it. I think it's got to be coach driven for the whole team. It can't be specialized to different players. I think people quit. Why are you taking care of 4 players and not 15? People get pissed. But I think the problem more than ever, I think parents are the problem. I think parents get involved. I think, we've seen, and I haven't heard too much, but it's at every high school. Our daughters are freshmen. They made varsity. There's kids out there like, well, I should be playing varsity. I'm as good as her. They don't know the background. And you hate that, but parents are always involved.
Yeah, it does. It does happen, and I think anybody can be guilty of it. But I think there are people who are better about checking themselves to not let those thoughts happen, right? Because we all are biased. We all have our things that we lean towards and think, some right, some wrong. But I think the ones that have a more level-headed approach tend to be, they might think it for a second, but then they're like, well, I'll consider this other opinion as well. Whereas some parents are just like, no, it's just this. It's just my kid.
Yeah. Well, me and you are the same person, right? We give our kids less credit than probably should because they're our kids. We're like, well, yes, she made varsity, but she could play better, right? I mean, we see the negative instead of enjoying the positives because it's just easier because then nobody yells at you. Nobody bitches that you're always taking – and you're different. You're a coach.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, just assistant. But I'll tell you what, that is something that is a challenge, and but yeah, you're right. It's so much. She's probably going to hate me when she gets older because I don't nitpick on her, but I've gotten better about letting her talk. Like after yesterday's game, like letting her talk about it. But man, yeah, I just see the things that she could be better at, and I probably need to pause that sometimes and just be like, hey, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're picking on your kid. It's all part of it.
But you know what? I told her when the season started, I'm like, listen, I'm going to be way harder on you than anybody else. A, because I love you, but B, because I don't want people to think that there's this bias there because in the end, I don't put myself in any of the decisions with her playing time. They ask me an opinion on things, and I say, here's my opinion, but ultimately that's your decision because I don't want any part of that. That's not my decision to make. So,
except for the beautiful hair, that is your decision.
Dang right.
Right.
And I'm keeping it, Greg. The only way we're cutting it is if we win conference. So you take that.
You have more people rooting for conference this year for Spash than ever before.
Isn't that the truth? They're like, get rid of that hair.
Like Greg out of Kimberly, he would never root for Spash, and this year, I think he bought a sweatshirt.
Yeah, he might have. We should get him one. That'd be good.
As long as it's Kimberly somewhere on it, he'd be all right.
That's right. But you know what? It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed coaching. It's a good time. I've learned a lot. It's a fun sport. The more you get around this sport, I never would have envisioned 25 years ago that I'd be coaching soccer. But I do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Even though there's some times that are frustrating, it's a lot of fun. And the challenge that I really enjoy is trying to figure out how to motivate the kids. Whether it was football or now soccer. How do you motivate young people? And I think I've got a long way to go there, but there's also a lot of things you learn every day, which is a lot of fun. So I'll leave it at that.
No, and it's going to be over the blink of the eye, right? I mean, you have some young ones, but
unreal.
It's you got 2 in high school now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's May.
Let's see.
1st is Sunday?
Dude, yeah, and it's still Tuesday. Like snowing, so...
Dude, this is ridiculous. This is asinine. It's like, what the hell?
I was at practice, it was last night at the game, and I'm like, freezing. I'm like, it is April 25th. Can we get some, 50s?
Yeah.
50s?
I had a blanket. I had a blanket on me. Winter hat and winter gloves. It was so cold. So bad.
I'm trying to take pictures on the sideline. I recorded the game. I'm trying to take pictures and just for the team, and then because when I can, and then trying to coach as well because they didn't need me exactly in the middle of the game. My role on the team is really helping with team management, and they don't need me for tactical stuff right now. So I try to do stuff for the team in a different regard. But so last time I tried to take pictures, my fingers were just numb because you can't do it without gloves. or with gloves. It's too hard. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we're down 1 month. I think we got 1 month left before regionals.
that is true.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It is nuts. Yeah, 1 month to regionals, which that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're 2 months from St. Louis regionals then. By the way, congratulations to Amelia for making the ODEP.
ODP. That's right. What is that? That's part of the travel farther, pay more.
That is a huge part of no coaching, pay more, enjoy. But it is a good time. Macy loved her.
It is. And I will say they get to meet a lot of really good kids too, and different coaches. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, and that's been the best part for Macy, meeting the girls from the other squads and staying in touch. So, yeah, good for her. There was a group of them that made it from our team.
Yeah, it's a bummer she didn't do it this year as well, because she'd have been down there with them as well. So, but I get it. You got a lot of other stuff going on. She's got a lot with school. Can't fit everything in. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Plus, it's in St. Louis. It's back-to-back St. Louis weekends. But like you said, you can dump the kids at the bus stop and pick them up later.
So that's the way this one works this year. It's finally back where you can actually take the girls. You can drop them off at the bus station, and then they are with the team the entire time. Even if we went down, they wouldn't be with us. They would just go with the team. So we might not even go down. We might just send her on her merry way down to St. Louis, cross her fingers she doesn't get hurt, and then just pick her back up when she comes home.
It's funny because me and Paul talk about this. It is the greatest name for a business, right? Olympic Development Program. It is like when you say, "Hey, my kid made the Olympic team, the Olympic Development." They're like, oh, "Really? Are they going to Seoul, South Korea in 4 years?" I'm like, "Well, no.
Yeah, maybe. You never know,
right?" But if it was like Lenny's soccer camp, everybody would be like, "This is stupid." But yeah, Olympic Development.
Lenny's soccer camp. Right now, Lenny's out there like, what?
Right.
Either that or there's a Lenny soccer camp and he's going to see a big boon in like registrations here.
Lenny, remember us.
But yeah, it is a really good name, and I actually hesitate to tell people what ODP stands for, just for that exact reason, because then they're like, "Oh, Olympic." It's like, no, it's not really that. I mean, it's not like she's going to be on TV next year in Seoul. It's like, or wherever the Olympics are. It's just ridiculous.
It's just where I write when it says name on the check, that's what I write in the check name.
Yes. But it does sound phenomenal. You are correct. Yeah. Great marketing.
And it is a great thing because it is playing. It is, as they say in the soccer world, touches on the ball. But it is a lot. It is a lot of winter driving on Sundays. And, I think from Macy's experience, the best round is the state round. When you make your state team and then you travel to – we've played in Indianapolis, and then you've been to Ohio now at St. Louis. When you're playing for Team Wisconsin versus Nebraska. Like, that was the best part because you kind of felt like you're part of the team of the state, and then they get chosen out of this to go to the ID camp, but that's, again, individual. So this is the round where you're kind of the Team Wisconsin, and I did find that pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely the best part. I mean, obviously, for those of you that are considering ODP, we tease on it, but it is a really nice program from that perspective. But for us, it's a 2-hour drive typically every time for a practice, and usually those fall on a Sunday. So what you end up having then is this. You've been busy all week. You're kind of getting ready for the week coming up, and it's like, okay, now you're going to be driving for 4 hours on a Sunday plus a 2-hour practice or hour and a half. So basically, carve out 6 hours out of your day. On a Sunday, and that's what you're going to be doing. It's like, and
it's harder for you. You guys are Middle State. I mean, at least talking to some of them, they did the Oshkosh run. I mean, that's 45 minutes from us. I would do that all day long. Yeah. But to drive to Madison and practice in a gym on a gym floor, that you're not getting better.
Yeah, that one's one that I struggle with. So, anyways, but we'll see. Amelia's goal for this whole ODP is she really wants to make it back to ID camp. She got to go that 1 year, and that ID camp didn't go very well for her. I think mentally she was not prepared for what was in store, and I think it would be really good for her to go back. That's kind of her goal. She just kind of wants to redeem herself. So she wants to get back to there. So we'll see. I know Macy's been there a couple times. Or been invited a couple times at least, but she would like to try to get back to that. So
nice, yeah,
yeah.
That's for the best of the Midwest that at least were playing ODP. There was some talent. There was some top talent.
Oh yeah,
that was fun to watch.
Good players. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, there was who were the other three? I'm going to blank on them now that made it. I should probably have pulled that up.
Skylar,
but three girls from
Skylar, Kennedy.
Katie and Kennedy, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, all good players.
And then Paul's daughter, Serene, made it from the 10 girls.
Nice.
So, yeah, that'll be her second year. Yeah, I mean, club is represented well, which is great.
Yep. Well, when you look through on all the Wisconsin FC United, man, there's a lot of kids on there, which is great. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of having a really good club. So, I'm trying to actually recruit people from Central Wisconsin to head over to the FC United because I just think if you really are looking for competitive soccer, it's worth it. It's worth the drive, honestly. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it's definitely got Macy to where she is today, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. See, there you go, Eric. We love you guys.
We should have Eric on a live. Then people can text in and email in. Oh yeah,
that'll happen at some point. That'll be good. So. But anyways, yeah. What else do we got to talk about here today? Anything else that we were itching to get at?
I
did want to bring this up. Did you see what I shared on Facebook?
I don't know if I did.
How great was that idea in New Jersey for if you are, let's say you go to the baseball game, your little league game, and you're harassing the umpire. And you get booted out of the game like you almost got put to the parking lot. The rule is that if you get booted out of the game, you now have to go and become a referee and ump 3 games, and then you can come back and watch your kid.
I love it. If they can pull this off, I think so many people would eat crow. Because have you ever umpired a baseball game?
I have not, but I have seen some of it, and they kind of ride those umps.
Like, you sit there in the stands, and you're like, there's no way that was a ball. Like, and then when you get down behind a catcher, and I don't care if it's Little League and the ball's going 40 miles an hour, it is a difficult task. Because, even in Little League, they're like, he painted the black. And I'm like, I got no idea. Like, the catcher moved his glove, and I called it a strike, And I give it a lot of credit, but that is a great rule. I hope it works out because I think every city should adapt it.
Man, I'll tell you what, it might not be long, and you and I are going to be out there as a AR for Jake.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I just thought it was a funny story. If you didn't see it, go to our page and check that out. But it's in New Jersey, and it was shared on Outkick. I thought it was really funny. So. Maybe coming to a town near you if they think it's good. And on a side note to that, kind of related, I really enjoyed Eric's post about the expectations of parents. They shared that out earlier this week from Wisconsin United. They put that on the page and sent it out as an email. A lot of really good things in there for parents and a lot of really good messages as far as how you can handle yourself on the sidelines. I loved, and I've said this before on the show, but I loved the specifically when they talked about don't try to coach your kid from the sideline. I just think that's something that we have to really encourage parents to stop doing because it just confuses the heck out of, especially really young kids. The older girls and the older boys are probably in tune enough to the game that they're not going to listen to you anyway. But those really young kids, those second graders, third graders, when you're constantly yelling past you, do this, do that. Man, I tell you, when I go to some of these kids' games, my son's 8 years old, and actually last year was 7, and the parents are just riding the kids. Do this, do that, do that. And it's like, shut up. Just let them play the game. It's okay if they make a mistake. Just let it happen. And I think that was some really, really good advice on there. Go to the Facebook page and see what they shared out. I should probably share it out on our page, but I thought it was really good advice.
Yeah, until they turn into just terrible umpires. But the thought process is there.
Yeah.
But it kind of make me want to get kicked out. Like when the guy said, "You want to watch from the parking lot?" I'd probably respond, "Yeah, I dare you." And then I'd be like,
"You're going to be working with me,
right?" As long as I don't have to be the center ref, they run a lot.
That's true.
AR's kind of scamper.
That is true.
They're little flags.
Well, you could just be like some of those referees that we've had that literally just stand in that center circle and they barely move. That's annoying as heck.
It is, and then they're making calls from, and it's at our
80
level,
yards away.
What bothers me about the reffing profession is when you're in the moment and you're a dad of a 13-year-old girl and you're trying to win a state title, right? You got a lot on line. Like, we think that's the game. And then you get a ref that's like, oh, these are 12-year-old girls. Does it really matter? And you're like, yeah, it kind of does. And my question is, what age does a ref look at it and be like, all right, I really got to pay attention? Because they're thinking,
these are
young girls. Maybe we got to bring Jake back on. But,
we should.
Yeah. But you get to an early morning Saturday tournament game, and these kids that are reffing are going, I got the 12-year-old girls. Are you kidding me? Guy's on his phone texting his friends.
Well, if it's a young ref, he might be trying to get snaps or something.
Sickos.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I just thought that was I thought it was a good message. I should actually share that out. Maybe I'll do that later for the share out the clubs, in case you want to read through it. But I just thought it was good stuff for parents. So,
yeah. No, I just like thinking outside the box.
Agreed. Holy cow, we're at an hour.
Holy cow, man, that was fun.
I think it was fun. I think we'll call this baby a quits. Get some sleep. Unless there's something else you want to end with.
10:13 at night, man. We got to do a live that's more in tune with some of our older listeners. I think Joe's in bed.
That's true.
Maybe
probably 2 hours ago.
Right?
Yeah,
that's where I should be.
All right. Well, you have yourself a good evening. Well, I'll end this here, and then I think I'll end it on Facebook and make sure it ends on all the others. But this was a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody that joined in and participated. We'll be back next week. We loved it. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Greg. Anybody else ever want to jump in? We would love to have you. So that was really cool. So thank you very much. All right, guys. Have a good night.